This call is now being recorded. Good afternoon, all. On behalf of IOT Academy, I welcome you all for the second session of National Level Faculty Development Program on National Education Policy 2020. Let me introduce the resource person of today's session, Dr. Anuradha Jain. Professor Jain is the Principal Dean at Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies, Delhi, an alumnus of IIM Kolkata and a scholar from University of Mumbai. She has been dedicated to the teaching community for over 21 years. She is a NAC assessor and has visited many colleges as NAC peer team member. Professor Jain has published many books and research articles to her credit in areas of business, economics, and environment. Dr. Jain was selected as one of the 100 eminent academicians of 2021 by International Institute of Organized Research for her remarkable contribution in the field of academics. She was conferred Best Teacher Award for her service. She received the Best Paper Award at the International Conference on Development of Economies through Innovation and Sustainable Growth. She has been the resource person for numerous webinars, FDPs, and seminars at various national institutes and universities. Recently, she was invited as a conference chairperson and keynote speaker at Oxford, London. She is also the advisory member of International Association of Research and Development Organization. With this, I hand over the session to Dr. Anuradha Jain. Ma'am, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am.
Welcome, ma'am.
Let me just share my screen. Is my screen visible to all of you?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible, ma'am.
Okay, but I am unable to change this. Okay, yeah. So thank you so much, ma'am, for the rich introduction. And today we will be discussing about new education policy in continuation of the lecture which you must have heard yesterday. Okay, so I'll be talking about more points which were not covered yesterday's session. So new education policy 2020, all of you know, is the first education policy of 21st century and replaces the 34-year-old National Policy on Education, which was introduced in 1986. Now, this is built on the foundational pillars of access, that means access to the education for all, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability. And this is aligned to 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And it aims to transform India into a vibrant knowledge society and global super knowledge. As you know that our country is rich in knowledge, but through this national education policy, we will be able to convert India as a global knowledge superpower. So if we talk about the vision of this policy, then the vision says that it should be an education system which is rooted in Indian ethos that contributes directly to transforming India. The curriculum and pedagogy of the institution must develop a deep sense of respect towards fundamental duties and constitutional values. Because through this national education policy, they want to imbibe, value system in the youth, value system in the children. And this also aims to instill a deep-rooted, pride in being Indian. And we should be proud of being Indian. Because in this present system, if we see, then there are various flaws that we can see in the present system, that it is fragmented, higher educational ecosystem. Less emphasis is given on the cognitive skills and learning outcome in the present system. There are limited teacher and institutional autonomy. Okay, and there is inadequate mechanism for merit-based career management and progression of faculty and institutional leaders. So seeing all these, loopholes and weaknesses of the present educational system, this new education policy has been framed. Now, in this, if we continue with the points which were not covered in the yesterday's session, then one is about institutional restructuring and consolidation. Okay, institutional restructuring and consolidation is one of the major feature of new education policy, and it states it aims at, like, by 2040 all higher education institutions shall aim to become multidisciplinary institutions, and each of which will aim to have 3,000 or more students. Okay, so that financially also that project should be viable, and therefore they are aiming for at least 3,000 or more student in the higher education institutions by making them the multidisciplinary institution. Then by 2030, at least one large multidisciplinary higher education institute in every district should be there, because as I said, that it is working on the fundamental of pillars of access to education. So access to education, equity to education will increase only when there are more number of multidisciplinary higher education institution spread over India or all parts of the country. Then this aim to increase the gross enrollment ratio in the higher education, okay, and including vocational education for 20.3%, okay, in 2018 to 50% by 2035. Okay, so if you just see the data of 2018, then the gross enrollment ratio in the higher education was just 26.3%. And now they are aiming to make it 50% by 2035. Then they are aiming for growth of both public as well as private institutions simultaneously. And university here means, that a multidisciplinary institution of higher learning. Then the definition of university also will allow a spectrum of institutions that range from those that place equal emphasis on teaching and research, because research will be emphasized more, in the new education policy. Then autonomous degree granting college. That is also one of the aim in institutional restructuring. Okay, because the new education policy is preferring for autonomous degree granting college, and it will refer to a large multidisciplinary that grants undergraduate degrees and is primarily focused on undergraduate teaching through its. It would not be restricted to that, means they can also run postgraduate programs also. A state-wise mechanism for granting graded autonomy to colleges through a transparent system of graded accreditation will be established, and higher education institution will have the autonomy and freedom to move gradually from one category to other category based on their plans, actions, and effectiveness. So that means gradually they will start from the graded autonomy system, and it is not that one institution, if graded at one point or in one category, then they cannot move to the other category. Next time they can try for the other category also. And there will be these three board type of institution are not in any natural way of rigid or exclusionary or categorization, but are along a continuum process. Then institution will have the option to run even open distance learning and online programs, provided they are accredited to do so. So that means they can also start their open distance learning program, that is ODL programs, courses. And but for that they should have accreditation, means they have to prove that yes, they can give quality education. Then system of affiliated colleges will be gradually phased out over a period of 15 years through a system of graded autonomy, and to be carried out in the challenge mode. So that means they want to give autonomy to the institution to frame their own curriculum as per the requirement of the industry. Because that in the university system, affiliated colleges are bound to follow the curriculum which are given by the university, and in the university system it takes long time to change the curriculum. But if that autonomy is given to the college, then they can change the system very frequently, and they can have, different programs, different courses as per the requirement of the industry. Then another point is that another feature of this new education policy is like they want to have more holistic and multidisciplinary education, because the basic objective of new education policy is to have, overall development of a student, the holistic development of the student. So a holistic and multidisciplinary education would aim to develop all capacities of human beings, like intellectual, aesthetic, social, physical, emotional, and moral, in an integrated manner. So that means overall holistic development of a child. Now, such a holistic education shall be, in the long term, the approach of all undergraduate programs, including those in professional, technical, and vocational discipline. So even engineering institutions like such as IITs will move towards more holistic and multidisciplinary education with more arts and humanities. Students of arts and humanities will aim to learn more science, and all will make an effort to incorporate more vocational subjects and soft skills. Okay, and there will be not no fixed parameter like now in the present system. You know that if a student takes science, then they have to study the fixed sets of papers. If he or she takes commerce, arts, humanities, then there is a fixed parameter that these are the subjects the students are bound to study. But now in the new education policy, student will make their own basket. They can pick and choose any subject of their interest, whichever they want to study. So they will make their own proper basket, and they will have full liberty to choose the subject of their own choice. Like student doing engineering program, if he is interested in music, he can very well take one subject as a music. Then imaginative and flexible curricular structure will enable creative combination of disciplines for study and would offer multiple entry and exit point. So this is also one of the very important feature of new education policy, that there is multiple entry and exit points. Now, how this is beneficial for a student, that there are many students, those who start with the education and after 1 year or after 2 years, they are unable to continue with their education. And ultimately, they are not benefited at all. And they are still, they are called as the 12th pass student, even if they have completed their first year of education, second year of education. But due to some unavoidable circumstances, they are unable to continue with their education. So in the new education system, now they can have the opportunity in future, and they can have multiple exit also. That means after completing 1 year, they can have their diploma or certificate of completion of 1 year. If they don't want to continue, they can also come exit after 2 years. Then they may have a diploma certificate. After 3 years, they can have degree certificate. So there are multiple entry and exit. Or if they want to continue their education after 2 years or after 2 years of break, then they can also continue with their education after 2 years. So there is no foundation on entry and exit points of a student. Then departments in languages, the literature, music, philosophy, and all, is they want to give also emphasis on all type of education, literature, music, philosophy. So that means students can pursue any subject whichever they want. Now the main point here in the holistic multidisciplinary education is the academic bank credit, ABC, shall be established. Now, what is academic bank credit? You know that you must have seen the CIBIL score. Okay, when you apply for loan, or if you want to apply for credit card, then also they check your CIBIL score. Now, what is CIBIL score? Okay, so they just see your background, like how much, like sincere you are in paying your installments when you had taken loan. So just like CIBIL score, or just like demat account of any person who is dealing in the share market, similarly there will be academic bank credit for a student. Now all that papers which will be cleared by the student, that will be credited to the account of that student. and that is in continuation of the multiple entry and exit. So whichever paper, whichever course student will finish, that credit will be entered into their account, and the total number of credits which are there for eligible of becoming, getting degree of that particular program. So once the students clear all that, and once all those credits are entered in their account, they will become to be eligible for the award of the degree. Okay, like suppose for example, if any student is pursuing like graduation, like suppose economics honors, a 3-year program, and suppose the total credit to earn a degree is 180. So if students, the moment student get 180 credits into their account, then they will become eligible, okay, for the award of degree. So that is the system of ABC, that means Academic Bank of Credit. And wherever they will move from all over India, they can have their papers, they can study online some subjects, and everything will be transferred to their account as soon as they clear that paper. Okay, so HEI will also focus on research and innovation by setting up, startups, incubation center, technology development centers, then centers in, frontier areas of research, greater industry, academic linkages, and interdisciplinary research, including humanities and social science research, is the main focus of new education policy. Okay, then another main feature of new education policy is internationalization. Now, what is internationalization? That means that they want to make it open for students from abroad to come and study in India, or students from India, they can also go to abroad and they can have their education from there. So large number of international students studying in India and greater mobility to students in India visit, study at, transfer credits to, or carry out research at institutions abroad and vice versa. So that is the main objective of internationalization. Now, India will be promoted as a global study destination, providing premium education at affordable cost. So that we will have double advantage out of it. India will be able to earn, foreign reserves by making it a premium education hub at affordable prices for the foreigner students. Then that will also help, in uh, getting more job opportunities for the students here. That will also help in flourishing, industries in India. So we will have multiple advantage of making our this education system as an international system. Now, an international student office at HEI hosting foreign student will be set up to coordinate all matters related to, welcoming and supporting students arriving from abroad. Then research, teaching collaborations, and faculty student exchange with high quality foreign institution will be facilitated by the government. High performing Indian universities will be encouraged to set up campuses in other countries also. Okay, because now at present, that there are many restrictions in starting the campus at abroad, but now under new education policies, they will motivate, in fact, high performing Indian universities to set up their campuses in other countries also. And similarly, selected universities, for example, those from among the top 100 universities in the world, will be facilitated to operate in India also. So that means it is both way, that freedom is given, support will be given to the Indian universities to set up their campus abroad, and also we are inviting, foreign universities, also those who are among the top 100 universities in the world, to open their campuses in India. So legislative framework facilitating such entry will be put in place, and such universities will be given special, special, attention regarding regulatory governance and content norms at par with other autonomous institution of India. So this step is basically to motivate, foreign universities to open their campus here, and our Indian universities to start their campuses in the other part of the country. The next feature of new education policy is motivated, energized, and capable faculty. So they are not only just taking care of the students, but also for the faculty also. So all higher education institutions will be equipped with the basic infrastructure and facilities, including clean drinking water, clean working toilets, blackboards, offices, teaching supplies, libraries, labs, and pleasant classroom spaces and campuses. And every classroom shall have access to the latest educational technology that enables better learning experience. Faculty will be given the freedom to design their own curriculum and pedagogical approaches within the approved framework. Then higher education institution will have clearly defined, independent, and transparent process and criteria for faculty recruitment and even for faculty promotion also. The next feature of our new education policy is reimagining vocational education. You know that 12th five-year plan, which was from 2012 to 2017, estimated that only a very small percentage of the Indian workforce in the age group of 19 to 24, that means almost 5%, received formal vocational education. Whereas in countries such as USA, the number is 52%. So you can see that in India, where the number was only 5%, and in USA, against that 5%, it is 52%. And in Germany, even more than that, that is 75%. And South Korea, it is as high as 96%. So these numbers only underline the urgency of the need to hassle the spread of vocational education in India. So you can see the difference, like which is 5% in India, 96% in South Korea, 75% in Germany. So there is a need to make changes and to give more emphasis on the vocational education in India. Vocational education will be integrated into all schools and higher education institutions in a phased manner over the next 10 years. So by 2025, at least 50% of learners through the school and higher education system shall have exposure to vocational education, which and for which a clear action plan with targets and timelines will be developed. Higher education institution will offer vocational education either on their own or in partnership with any industry or NGOs. Then BVOC degree is introduced in 2013, will continue to exist, but vocational courses will also be available to students enrolled in all other bachelor's degree programs, like including the 4-year multidisciplinary bachelor program. Then Lok Vidya, that is important vocational knowledge developed in India, will be made accessible to students through integration with the vocational education courses. The possibility of offering vocational courses through distance learning mode will also be explored in India. Then MHRD will constitute a national committee for the integration of vocational education, that is NCIVE, so National Committee for Integration of Vocational Education, consisting of experts in vocational education and representatives from across ministries in collaboration with industry to oversee these efforts. Then incubation center will be set up in higher education institution in partnership with industries, because incubation center is very, very important, if you want to motivate students for starting their own startups. And that this government, our prime minister, is focusing more on motivating students to start their own startups because they can generate employment for others. So instead of seeking employment, why not students generate employment for others also? And Indian standards will be aligned with the international standard classification of occupations maintained by International Labour Organization. And the credit-based framework will also facilitate, mobility across general and vocational education. The next feature of our education policy, new education policy, is catalyzing, quality academic research in all fields through a new national research foundation. So National Research Foundation is to be established. This is very, very important step, okay, of this new education policy, because knowledge creation and research are critical in growing and sustaining a large and vibrant economy, uplifting society, and continuously, inspiring a nation to achieve even greater heights. Now, indeed, some of the most important prosperous, civilizations such as India, Mesopotamia, Egypt, and Greece, to the modern era, such as United States, Germany, Israel, South Korea, Japan, are strong knowledge societies that attained intellectual and material wealth in large part through celebrated and fundamental contributions to the new knowledge in the realm of science as well as arts, language, and culture that enhanced and uplifted not only their own civilization but also around the globe. So, in this background, a robust ecosystem of research is perhaps more important than ever with the rapid changes occurring in this world today. For example, that climate change, population dynamics and management, biotechnology, an expanding digital marketplace, and the rise of machine learning and artificial intelligence. So, if India is to become a leader in these disparate, areas, and truly achieve the potential of its, vast talent pool to again become a leading knowledge society in the coming years and decades, the nation will require a significant expansion of its research capabilities and output across disciplines. And today, the criticality of research is more than ever before for economic, intellectual, societal, environmental, and technological health and progress of a nation. So, despite this, critical importance of research, the research and innovation investment in India is at the current time only 0.69% of GDP, as comparative to 2.8% in the United States of America, 4.3% in Israel, and 4.2% in South Korea. So, in this background, there is a need to focus more on the research, and therefore, this policy proposes to establish National Research Foundation. The over, arcing goal of the NRF, that is a National Research Foundation, will be to enable a culture of research to permeate through our universities. The NRF will be governed independently of the government by a rotating board of governors consisting of a very best researchers and innovators across the field. The primary activities of this National Research Foundation will be fund competitive peer-reviewed grant proposal to all types and across all disciplines. So their basic function is to provide funds for research, then seed, grow, and facilitate research at academic institutions, act as a liaison between researcher and relevant branches of government as well as industry, so as to allow, breakthroughs to be optimally brought into policy or implementation of the policy, and recognize outstanding research and progress of the country. So this will be the basic function of a National Research Foundation, which this new education policy proposes, to establish. Then another feature of new education policy is transforming the regulatory system of higher education. Now, that regulatory system of higher education will ensure that the distinct functions of regulation, accreditation, funding, and academic standards setting will be performed by district, independent, and empowered bodies. Okay. Then regulation of higher education has been too heavy handed for decades. too much has been attempted to be, regulated with too little effects. So the mechanism of the regulatory system has been, rife with very basic problems such as, heavy concentration of power within few bodies, conflict of interest among these bodies, and a resulting lack of accountability. So this regulatory system is in need of complete overall, changes in order to re-energize the higher education sector and explore the best of this higher education system in India. So there are different structures that are to be set up, okay, in our country, and these four structures will be set up as four independent verticals within one umbrella, okay, institution, the Higher Education Commission of India. So that means all these accreditation bodies will work under only one umbrella, that is the Higher Education Commission of India, HECI. The first vertical of HECI will be National Higher Education Regulatory Council, and it will function as a common single point regulator for higher education sector, including teacher education and excluding medical and legal education. Now at present, you know that there are various regulatory bodies, like there is NAC, there is NBA, okay, there are other regulatory bodies for pharmacy, for medical. So now there will be only one, which will be National Higher Education Regulatory Council, and which will help in regulating, all type of higher education system. Then there will be second vertical of HECI. It will be meta accrediting body called National Accreditation Council, that is NAC. Accreditation of institution will be based primarily on basic norms, public self-disclosure, good governance and outcome, and it will be carried out by an independent ecosystem of accrediting institutions supervised and overseen by National Accreditation Council. Then there will be third vertical, will be Higher Education Grant Council, which will carry out funding and financing of higher education based on transparent system, transparent mechanism. Then there will be fourth vertical, will be General Education Council, which will frame, expected learning outcome for higher education program, and also referred to as graduate attributes. A national higher education qualification framework will be formulated by GEC, that is General Education Council. So the functioning of all these independent verticals for regulation, accreditation, funding, and academic standard setting, and the overarching autonomous umbrella body itself will be based on transparent public disclosure and use technology extensively to reduce human interface to ensure efficiency and transparency in their work. Then another feature, next feature is curbing commercialization of education. You know that all education nowadays is commercial in nature, and the basic purpose of educational institution is to make profit. And uh, because of this, sometimes, they oversee the quality in the education. So multiple mechanism with checks and balances will combat and stop commercialization of higher education, and this will be a key priority of the regulatory system. So all educational institution will be held to similar standards of audit and disclosure as not for profit entity. Surpluses, if any, will be reinvested in the educational sector. There will be transparent public disclosure of all these financial matters and recourse to grievance handling mechanism to the general public. Then the accreditation system developed by NAC will provide a complementary check on this system, and NHERC will consider this as one of the key dimensions of its regulatory objectives. Then all fees and charges set by private HEI will be transparently and fully disclosed, and there shall be no arbitrary increase in their fees during the period of enrollment of any student. And this fees determining mechanism will ensure reasonable recovery of cost while ensuring that HEIs discharge their social obligation. Then another feature of new education policy is effective governance and leadership for higher educational institution, because effective governance is very, very important. Effective leadership is very, very important if you want to impart quality education to the students. So through a suitable system of graded accreditation and graded autonomy, and in a phased manner over a period of 15 years, all higher education systems in India will aim to become independent, self-governing institution pursuing innovation and excellence. Now, upon receiving this, the appropriate graded accreditation that deem the institution ready for such a move, a board of governors, that is BOG, shall be established. And equity consideration will also be taken care of while selecting the members. The BOG of an institution will be empowered to govern the institution free of any external interference. So that means no political interference, no influence will be taken care of. It is envisages that all higher education institution will be incentivized, supported, and mentored during this process and shall aim to become autonomous and have such an empowered BOG by 2035. Okay, the BOG shall be responsible and accountable to the stakeholders through transparent self-disclosure of all relevant records. It will be responsible for meeting all regulatory guidelines mandated by HECI through the National Higher Education Regulatory, that is Council, that is NHERC. So while being provided with adequate funding, legislative enablement, and autonomy in the phased manner, all HEI in turn will display commitment to institutional excellence, engagement with their local communities, and the highest standard of financial probity and accountability. Each institution will make a strategic institutional development plan on their basis of which institution will develop initiatives, assess their progress, and reach the goals set therein, which could then become the basis for further public funding. The IDP shall be prepared with the joint participation of board members, institutional leaders, faculty, student, and staff. So that means even a student representative, faculty representative will also be the part in the decision-making body of any higher educational institution. Next feature is about professional education. Preparation of professionals must involve an education in the ethic and importance of public purpose, an education in the discipline, and an education for practice. It must, centrally involve critical and interdisciplinary thinking, discussions, debate, research, and innovation. And for this to be achieved, professional education should not take place in the isolation of one specialty. And there are few features of this policy regarding professional education, that standalone agricultural universities, legal universities, health science universities, technical university, and standalone institution in other fields shall aim to become multidisciplinary institutions offering holistic and multidisciplinary education. All institutions offering either professional or general education will aim to organically evolve into institution cluster offering both seamlessly and in an integrated manner by 2030. And both capacity and quality of agriculture and allied discipline must be improved in order to increase agricultural productivity through better skilled graduates and technicians, innovative research, and market-based extension linked to technologies and practices. Institutions offering agriculture education must benefit the local community directly. One approach could be set up by agriculture technology parks to promote, technology incubation, dissemination, and promote, sustainable methodologies. Then legal education needs to be competitive, globally, adopting best practices and embracing new technologies for wider access to and timely, delivery of justice. Healthcare education needs to be re-envisaged so education structure and design of the educational programs needs to match the role requirements that graduates will play. Given that people exercise pluralistic choices in healthcare, our healthcare education system must be integrative, meaning thereby all the students of allopathic medicine, medical education must have basic understanding of Ayurveda, yoga, naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, and homeopathy, that is Ayush, and vice versa. And there shall be much greater emphasis on preventive healthcare and community medicine in all forms of healthcare. India must take a lead, in preparing professionals in cutting edge areas that are first gaining prominence, such as artificial intelligence, okay, 3D matching, big data analysis, and machine learning. In addition to genomic studies, biotechnology, nanotechnology, neuroscience with important applications to health, environment, and sustainable living that will be woven into undergraduate education for enhancing employability of the youth. Okay, the next very, very important feature of new education policy is promotion of Indian languages, arts, and culture. Because language should not be the barrier in the education, barrier in the learning process. And India is a treasure trove of culture, developed over thousands of years and manifested in the form of arts, works of literature, customs, tradition, linguistic expressions, okay, art, facts, heritage sites, and more. So crores of people from around the world partake in, enjoy, and benefit from this culture wealth daily in the form of visiting India for tourism, experiencing Indian hospitality, purchasing India's handicraft and handmade textiles, reading the classical literature of India, practicing yoga and meditation, being inspired by Indian philosophy, practicing in India's unique festivals, appreciating India's diverse music and art, and watching Indian films, amongst major other aspects of India. It is this culture and natural wealth that truly makes India incredible India, as per India's tourism slogan. And you must have seen tourism slogan as Incredible India. The preservation and promotion of India's cultural wealth must be considered a high priority for the country, as it is truly important for nation's identity as well as for its economy. So the promotion of Indian arts and culture is important not only for nation but also for any individual. Indian arts of all kinds must be offered to students at all levels of education, starting with early childhood to the higher education. Then teaching and learning of Indian languages need to be integrated with school and higher education at every level. For languages to remain relevant and vibrant, there must be a steady stream of high quality learning and print materials in these languages, including textbook, workbooks, videos, plays, poems, novels, magazines, etc. Languages must also have consistent official update to their vocabularies and dictionaries, widely disseminated so that the most current issues and concept can be effectively discussed in these languages. So, touring by higher education institutions, students to different parts of the country, which will not only give a boost to tourism, but will also lead to an understanding and appreciation of diversity that we have in terms of culture, tradition, knowledge of different parts of the country. Okay, then National Institute for Pali, Persian, Prakrit will also be set up within a university campus. For each of the languages mentioned in English schedule of Constitution of India, academics will be established consisting of some of the greatest scholars and natives speakers. And these academics, for English scheduled languages will be established by the central government in consultation or collaboration with state governments. So academics for other highly spoken Indian languages may also be similarly established by the center or state. Then similarly, there are other features of our new education policies like technology use and integration, because technology play a very, very important role in the growth of the education or in the growth of any nation. Then online and digital education ensuring equitable use of technology. So all of you know that after COVID-19, all of us are familiar with use of ICT in teaching, learning, and evaluation process. So online and digital education is also emphasized by this new education policy, and therefore they are emphasizing on like pilot studies for online education. They are talking about new education policies, talking about digital infrastructure, online teaching platforms and tools are developed like Swayam, Diksha and all. Content creation, digital repository and dissemination of knowledge, they are emphasizing upon. Then even new education policy is talking about addressing the digital divide. Now, given the fact that there still persists a substantial section of the population whose digital access is highly limited, the existing mass media such as television, radio, and community radio will be extensively used for telecast and broadcast. So, such educational programs will be made available 24 by 7 in different languages to cater to the varying needs of student population. So, special focus on content in all education or Indian languages will be emphasized and required. Digital content will need to reach to the teachers and students in their medium of instruction as far as possible. Then they are talking about virtual labs like Diksha, Swayam Prabha, and all. Then training and incentives for teachers are also emphasized. Like teachers will undergo rigorous training in learning centric pedagogy and on how to become high quality online content creator themselves using online teaching platforms and tools. And there will be emphasis on teachers' role in facilitating active student engagement with the content with each other, because they are focusing on making students more and more employable. Okay, so for that, if you're talking about multidisciplinary, so teachers are also to be ready for this type of education. Then they are also focusing on online assessment and examination. So there are appropriate bodies such as proposed National Assessment Center, PARAK. AICT has already started with this PARAK, okay, where students can assess themselves online. Where do they stand? Are they prepared for employment or not? So this type of facilities are created and are also creating more for the students. Then blended models of learning, laying down standards. So all these are the main features of national education policy. So in all, to summarize, I can say that there will be a total transformation of Indian knowledge system, and based upon multidisciplinary education to the students, multiple entry exit facilities. So it is good for the students, it is good for the teachers. Yes, but there are various challenges for the institution, okay, in implementing, okay, how to implement this. Yes, those challenges are there, but still it's a very good step by the government uh, to introduce with this new education policy. Okay, but we have to be mentally prepared for this transformation, for this change. We need to work hard for this, okay, for implementing this new education policy. I know there will be a lot of burden on the teachers also, because there will be variety of subjects, variety of new things that are going to be, included in the education system. Okay, so but that will bring a major change in the life of the students and in the development of the country. Okay, so thank you so much. And with this, we open the platform for any question or any point that to be discussed.
The session is open for discussion now. You can post your questions in the chat box or you can unmute and interact with the resource person. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all. Please post your questions in chat
Yeah,
box.
all of us, that all of us are the teachers, and we should understand what new education policy is. And we should also prepare ourselves, okay, for accepting these new challenges, because all of us are also going to face challenges, because we have to prepare ourselves, okay, for facing the students, because they will be learning, different subjects, multidisciplinary approach. So we also have to be, accepting this multidisciplinary approach as a teacher.
Please post your queries in chat box. Ma'am is there to help you.
Okay, so if there is no questions, then we can wind up, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Mm.
On behalf of IOT Academy, I thank Dr. Anuradha ma'am for the enriching and enlightening session. Thank you once again for the amazing presentation, ma'am. Your session on national education policy will be very beneficial and fruitful, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for your efforts, ma'am. I thank all the participants for joining the session today. Thank you all. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Kindly submit the feedback form using the link that has been posted in the chat box. Thank you all. Please submit the feedback using the link that has been posted in the chat box. Thank you all. Have a great day.